Once again, the MLB offseason is off to a painfully slow start, but the few names that we have seen taken off the board are all primarily, starting pitchers, different caliber of starting pitchers. The Blake Snell is the biggest one, 5 years, $182 million. That was the contract he was looking for last offseason after a Cy Young award and is able to get after being injured for most season, but finishing the season strong. Shows you how much teams are willing to go after a high quality starting pitcher right there. But these next two that happened just overnight going into Monday, Frankie Montas getting 2 years, $34 million from the New York Mets, and Matthew Boyd getting 2 years, $29 million from the Chicago Cubs are a lot more worrisome because those are two guys I looked at. I'm like, yeah, 1 year, $10 million. Like, Matthew Boyd hasn't thrown 80 innings in a season since 2019. I mean, he ended the season with good 8 starts, but it's 8 starts. And like, what are we doing here? Like, congratulations. But this guy hasn't been able to stay healthy. And even when healthy, he hasn't been that good outside of an 8-start sample size. Frankie Montas had a 4.84 ERA last year and threw 1.1 innings in 2023. Those two guys, which I wouldn't even want the Braves to even look at, even for 1 year deals. I'm like, that, like, got 2 years, $15+ million. That's a scary sign if you're even talking about a Walker Buehler or a Charlie Morton or, any of these guys that were like Nathan Eovaldi. Like Nathan Eovaldi getting 2 years,
get like a 3 year.
I don't see any way how he doesn't get 3 years, $75 million. Yeah. That's what I projected kind of for him coming into the offseason. I don't see any way how he doesn't get that. And I don't think the Braves are going to be handing out 3 years, but they're going to have to get uncomfortable is the point.
I think the best case scenario is Walker Buehler, like, in terms of that conversation you were just at, is like Walker Buehler doesn't want a multi-year deal because he is believing in himself that he's going to turn in another, vintage Walker Buehler year where he's going to cash in next offseason. That's about, and then the Charlie Morton thing is like, he's going to settle for a 1 year deal. There's absolutely no shot that he's going to, just because he doesn't want to play, in my estimation. But now you're talking about the prices. Yeah, it's going to be $20 million for Morton probably, and I wouldn't be surprised if Buehler gets a 1 year, $25 million deal or something like that.
I mean, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibilities. And if you're the Atlanta Braves, that's a scary sign.
That sucks.
I mean, it's like there's nothing now that I'm looking at, and when I'm trying to project based on what we've seen to this point in the offseason, then I'm like, their Braves are going to be too much interested. And listen, the Braves have found out ways to get creative in the past. It just feels like they're going to have to do it again.
Feels like they're just trying their luck, though. And I don't mean luck being like the Chris Sale acquisition was lucky or the Ronaldo Lopez acquisition was lucky. I think that they just worked out perfectly. And generally speaking, things like that, when they're that risky, do not work out perfectly over and over and over again. Like, at some point, something is going to come back to bite the Atlanta Braves. And I'm not talking about letting a Max Fried walk. I'm talking about an acquisition of their own. And it's scary to think about because this rotation has more question marks than answers. And I know that we have the guy, Spencer Schwellenbach, we're all excited. He's never really thrown a full season worth of innings. Chris Sale, lengthy injury history. Ronaldo Lopez, battled the fatigue. Spencer Strider, coming off the surgery. Like, there's a lot of questions about this rotation, and I think Alex Anthopoulos did about as damn good a job last year as he possibly could, and it still wasn't enough.
Yeah, I mean, it was enough because it was enough if the lineup was an absolute dog crap. But yeah, I guess I will say, I'm even more intrigued by the Max Fried free agency now when I'm seeing these prices, because if Max Fried doesn't get the Blake Snell deal, and let's say it's 6 years, $150 million, I'm like, based on all the prices that I'm seeing around the league for guys that are subpar starters, and they're only going to go up from year to year to year to year, I'm starting to think like that doesn't sound too bad. Now, there's no telling. Max Fried could get 6 years, $200 million, or 7 years, $200 million, and we're having a totally different conversation. But I'm interested to see what that number turns out to be, because I'm having a hard time, and I like to do all these hypotheticals and who I think could fit where. I'm having a hard time finding a guy where I'm like, yeah, that's going to be worth it. And Alex Anthopoulos has been the best at it, and I'm glad he's the one doing it, not me. I'm just saying, with these contracts, like the 1 year, $15 million high upside guy doesn't seem like he seems like he's getting 2 years, $30 million. And I'm not really exactly excited about spending that money on Frankie Montas. And I'm scared to see what Walker Buehler might command.
Yeah. It's inflated as hell, which, they're probably going to go to the trade market, as they've done time and time again. I mean, that seems like the MO of Alex Anthopoulos, and with the pitching market exploding like it is, feels like it's even more of the answer this year.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him, but we got a good guy when it comes to making these acquisitions.